This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some important updates to share with you. Democrats are going at it again for the stimulus reconciliation deal. I'll let you know the latest between the Democrat and Republican perspective of more stimulus coming to Americans. Andrew Yang, former presidential candidate, says stimulus checks were not to blame for inflation. Speaking of stimulus checks, there could be summer $1,400 stimulus checks, also $2,000 stimulus checks going to one state, and then $1,000 monthly universal basic income program in one new state. I'll give you the details on that. Plus, I'll let you know how to access the last $15 billion in rental assistance, and I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a terrific Tuesday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below, and I'm giving $200 to my subscribers. I'll talk more about that later on in the video, but first, student loan forgiveness. New poll shows 64% support student loans being forgiven. I want to know, what is your opinion about student loans being forgiven? Good idea, bad idea? If yes, how much? If no, what's the reason why not? Let me know your thoughts on all that down in the comments below. Basically breaks down to a lot of different things and comes out to 64% there. Next, don't blame stimulus checks for inflation, says Andrew Yang, who still supports sending free cash to most Americans. If you're not familiar, Andrew Yang is a former presidential candidate and says the COVID stimulus check experiment isn't to blame for record inflation, and he's still all for sending people free cash. So basically, Andrew Yang is the guy who believes in universal basic income, and if he was president, everybody would have gotten universal basic income checks, basically monthly checks of free money that didn't have to be paid back. So he's basically saying that it is not to blame. Stimulus checks were not to blame. But let me know your thoughts. Stimulus checks to blame for inflation? No, yes. Let me know your thoughts on that. So when it comes to other stimulus relief, there's still $15 billion in rental assistance funds, in stimulus funds, but you'll need to act quickly to get it. So originally there was roughly $46 billion that was allocated to rent relief since late 2020. And as of March, this past month, 15 billion of that had gone unspent, but those needing aid shouldn't hesitate to apply. So basically there's $15 billion left distributed among all the states pretty much. Some states actually gave it back because it wasn't being used. But how do you get this money? So if you go to this website, nlihc.org, this is how you could access any rental assistance money. So if you are paying rent and you want to get rental assistance money and you haven't already, if you go to this site, you can see it's in alphabetical order. We have Alabama, and then it shows the different areas that you could get stimulus money. For example, here you could get internet covered and other house expenses, things like that. So definitely check out this site, nlihc.org, and you could figure out how to get rental assistance in your area there. And when it comes to other stimulus news, new $1,400 stimulus check from $200,000 pot facing approval tomorrow. Would you qualify? So this is going on in the city, Washington, Iowa. So specifically, the name of the city is Washington, Iowa, and this is going out. The plan is to give $1,400 checks to residents who were excluded from federal stimulus checks. So this is just going to cover 140 residents, which would cost, I guess, equal to about $200,000 in funds to give these people stimulus checks that they didn't get before. Then stimulus update, residents of this state may receive another stimulus check, this one for $2,000. So this is the famous Pennsylvania $2,000 state stimulus check, which was proposed by Governor Tim Wolf of Pennsylvania. And basically it would go $2,000, or it's a little tiered system here. So anyone making less than $80,000 but more than $50,000 would get a $1,500 check, and anybody making less than $50,000 would get a $2,000 stimulus check. Hasn't passed yet, so I'll keep you updated on that. And then for stimulus check update, some Americans eligible for more money. So this article basically goes over all of the other states that are giving out stimulus checks, which seems to be the thing in terms of a federal fourth stimulus check. That's not going to happen in terms of a federal gas monthly check, which was proposed. That's not going to happen anytime soon. We haven't seen any votes or scheduled votes for anything like that. So yeah, this is just going through like New Mexico, $250 for singles, $500 for couples. And then in New Jersey, $500 stimulus checks there, $1,000 for couples. Idaho is giving out money as well. I think it's 12% or $75. So those are the states there. Then struggling Americans to get $1,000 universal basic income payments for a year. Are you eligible? So this is going on in Austin, Texas. So Austin, Texas, latest state to give out universal basic income. They have the application process going on. Basically, the information on the application, selection, and qualification process has not been yet made available. So they're just putting it out there that there's a $1,000 monthly program going on in Austin. Once there's more information, I'll give you that. And then gas prices likely to surge again, expert says. So national price per gallon is projected to rise around $4.15 to $4.20. So we might see a little dip because of the reserves being used and maybe a few other short-term measures. But long-term, if the root of the problem is not solved, gas prices are going to stay high and even go higher. So that's what the experts are saying there. Then Democrats prepare to take second run at Biden spending plan. So supposedly they've been going at it this whole time, so they're making announcements here and there that they're going to keep trying for it. What Ron Klain, White House Chief of Staff, says is we have to come back and figure out what formula works with the 50 to get it passed in the Senate. Basically, what they're saying is how can you get Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema on board for that? And Elizabeth Warren, warns Democrats must deliver more to avoid midterm wipeout. So what she is saying is basically Democrats made a lot of big promises, from the Build Back Better plan, from other stimulus checks to $2,000 stimulus checks that were general and, for the whole country, student loan forgiveness. A lot of promises were made, and that if Democrats don't fulfill those promises, or at least come out with this big stimulus plan like the Build Back Better or Building a Better America, then Democrats are probably going to have a hard time at the midterm election. So what she said is Democrats win elections when we show we understand the painful economic realities facing American families and convince voters we will deliver meaningful change. To put it bluntly, if we fail to use the months remaining before the elections to deliver on more of our agenda, Democrats are headed toward big losses in the midterms. What are your thoughts on that? Take a look at the Democrat perspective on giving more stimulus reconciliation, and then I'll play you the Republican perspective after that.
Some Democrats need to shut up and quit saying the president hadn't done anything for you, because he's done a lot. And if you look at his approval rating just among Democrats, it's running somewhere 15 to 20 points below where it should be. And a lot of that is from the yapping that comes from Democrats telling other Democrats that Joe Biden hadn't done anything for you, when in fact, if you're an hourly worker or you have a child that you're raising and you're in poverty, Joe Biden has done more for you than anybody else has ever done for you.
Yapping, a largely underused word, I think, in the American language. James Carville. Well, the president is hitting the road this week with a stop tomorrow in New Hampshire, then on to Oregon and Washington State to make that sales pitch and try to shore up his poll numbers. Republicans have their own concerns in spite of the traditional advantage of being the opposition party in a midterm year. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is warning his party about unacceptable candidates who could win primaries but lose those races in November. Back with us tonight, Michael Steele, former chairman of the Republican National Committee and former lieutenant governor of Maryland. Juanita Tolliver, a veteran political strategist and two progressive candidates and causes. Great to see you both. So, Juanita, in a New York Times op-ed today, Senator Elizabeth Warren implies that what James Carville told us last week might not be enough. She wrote this. Quote, we need to finalize a budget reconciliation deal, making giant corporations pay their share to fund vital investments in combating climate change and lowering costs for families, which can advance with only 50 Senate votes. Is she right, or is James Carville?
I think it's very easy to answer that question, Chris. Of course, Senator Warren is right. She is giving out a plan that is exponentially better than James Carville's just be grateful for what you got, even though you're still struggling approach. Senator Warren says we need one part blame Republicans for obstructing our agenda and two parts of Democrats doing every single thing they can in Congress and through executive action to make people's lives tangibly better. That was the one mandate of the Biden administration from the moment he assumed office, and is to make sure people know and feel that their lives are better under him than the last guy. And so Democrats need to do everything in their power to deliver on that, because as Senator Warren wrote, voters remember the promises Democrats made in 2020, and they're going to be looking for returns on this investment, all while they're experiencing higher prices for food, for gas, for housing. And so it's absolutely right that Democrats should do what they can in Congress, and Biden leverage his executive authority to make their lives better right now.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think the Democrats have a chance in the midterm election if they don't pass a lot of the promises that they promised? What are your thoughts on all of that? One of the big obstacles for Democrats is Joe Manchin. So recently, billionaire Peltz draws GOP mega donors to $5,000 a plate fundraiser for Democrat Senator Joe Manchin. So basically, I guess Joe Manchin was holding a fundraiser charging $5,000 per person, and billionaire and Wall Street veteran Nelson Peltz hosted a fundraiser for conservative Democrat Joe Manchin at his massive Florida estate last month. At least 50 executives attended the lunch aimed at raising campaign contributions for the West Virginia lawmaker's re-election campaign. The fundraiser drew some big GOP donors, such as Blackstone CEO Steve Schwartzman and Home Depot co-founders Ken Langone and Bernard Marcus. So what are your thoughts on Joe Manchin getting cozy with GOP donors and then kind of going against the Democrats? Is this fair play for politicians? Something shady there? Let me know your thoughts on all of that. And then when it comes to Republicans, so GOP talking up historic inflation ahead of midterms, data shows. So this is the Republican perspective of what's going on and about more stimulus that Democrats want to have. Take a look at the Republican perspective right here.
Joining us now, look who's here, Senator Ron Johnson from Senate Budget, Science and Transportation. Senator, we always love having you on. So, Senator, we've got reports that the White House is in denial about inflation when everyone on Wall Street is talking about it. Even Americans who don't follow politics are getting angry. They're sitting up and taking notice. We've got Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Deutsche Bank warning about recession. So is Larry Summers. Why is the White House seemingly in denial?
Don't ask me. I mean, I know you are asking me, but I can't get my head inside the mind of a liberal. It makes no sense. Of course, they deny inflation at the same time they say they have a cure for it, which is even more deficit spending. But I think what your listeners all have to understand is these things don't just happen. You know, our open borders, out of control inflation, record gas prices, these are the direct result of this administration's policies. And of course, they just don't want to own up and accept the disastrous results of their policies. But this is what happens.
And we've got this new Quinnipiac poll. Biden's approval rating is crashing with millennials and Generation X to Z. And now Senator Elizabeth Warren is saying that Biden may do more executive orders, more spending before the midterms on things like student loan debt, prescription drug costs, more overtime pay. Then we have a new book coming out from the New York Times reporters saying Nancy Pelosi is blaming the far left squad, saying that, quote, the Democrat Party, their loose talk of socialism is costing the Democrats the Asian and Hispanic voter bases. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, I can't believe his approval rating is even that high. But I have no doubt Democrats will continue to buy votes with these social welfare programs, try and buy student votes by paying off their loan. How fair is that going to be to people that didn't go to college or that paid off their student loans? So unfortunately, you just don't have enough Americans understanding how the detrimental impact of all this massive deficit spending, $30 trillion in debt. We are just collectively whistling past the graveyard here.
And Senator, we have Nancy Pelosi also quoted as saying Representative Jayapal, Premier Jayapal, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are fighting to be the, quote, queen bee of the Democrat Party, to run the party. Do they want to push aside Biden to get their guy or person in there?
Possibly, but, what Nancy Pelosi has to understand, it's her policies, the policies of President Biden, the policies of the radical left, which is the Democratic Party, that is what is causing all this damage. Again, the open borders, the out of control deficit spending sparking 40-year high inflation, record gasoline prices. These things didn't just happen. This is the direct result of Democrat governance, Democrat policies. I hope America is paying attention.
Now that you heard both perspectives between Democrats and Republicans, which side do you side more with? Let me know your thoughts on all that. I like to keep everything balanced, give you both the left, the right, the Republican, the Democrat on this channel. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you the one thing you should do when you're feeling down and you want to follow your wishes, then do whatever you want. It's a free country here. You can do whatever you want. So bye guys. Have a good night or a good day.
Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate your support. And without your support, none of this would be possible. So I want to show my appreciation for your support, giving out $200 checks to my subscribers. If you've seen this before, very similar format. Basically, you have to be subscribed to this channel you're watching right now, Wise Flies, plus my other two channels, Wise Pickleball, which I recently created last month, and then Wise Buys, which is a product review channel. So as long as you're subscribed to all three of those channels, then just in this video alone, comment the word grateful down in the comment section below. You could say what you're grateful for, and I'm going to pick the winners at random 10 days from now, so you still have some time to do that. And a lot of people have asked me, can you do it more than once? Yes, you can. You can do this more than once, so that's totally fine. So yeah, do that, and I have more details of how you could do all that written out down in the description below. And if you want to check out any of my latest videos, you could click up here. Actually, this is my latest pickleball video right up here. Really good one if you want to check that out, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.